Well, hello there. Welcome back to another live session of the of our first or fourth Friday computer class. First and foremost, obviously, this is not a live session. I did do the live session. However, I forgot to turn my microphone on. Luckily, thankfully, nobody was actually in the class. However, if they would have been, they would have been able to tell me that my stuff was not working properly. But nonetheless, I still wanted to be able to cover this essential. So I am going to go ahead and just redo the class this morning. Or perhaps maybe you're watching this in the afternoon, or perhaps in the evening. Whenever you're watching this, I just wanted to be able to make it available for you. My name is Beth Gaff, and I am the Systems Manager, Technology Trainer, and Robotics Instructor here at the Peabody Public Library. We always have a either first or fourth Friday computer class, not both, just either or. So you would definitely want to check out our website at www.ppl.lib.in.us so you're able to get those links so you can join us during the live feed. This is typically posted to our channel, which is the Peabody Public Library streamed channel. So then you would be able to watch it at your leisure. Today we're going to be talking about internet safety and making sure that we have a safer mindset about our computers, what we're doing on our computers, and so forth. I am using a website called gcflearnfree.org. They are amazing. I can't give them enough props. They give us a lot of the information that I get for my classes. I get from them. It is all free and it's internet based for you. So if there's a subject that you would like to know more about, whether it's computers or not, GCF Learn Free is an amazing place to search for those items. Excuse me. So we are going to go through some of this internet safety items that they have on here for us. I can't think of a better way to explain it to you than the way that they've actually presented it. Now, I'm just going over the very introduction and basic skills of this. There is a lot more involved when it comes to internet safety, cybersecurity, things along those lines. But if you do some of this simple stuff, then you will definitely have more of a sense of security while you're online. And whether you're shopping, banking, social media, email, just surfing the web, it's really a good idea to make sure that you have certain things in play for yourself so that way that you are not vulnerable to hackers, malware, spyware, whatever else they come up with where uh, so you're safe. I just want to see everybody safe. So we're just going to go through some of these very basic things. We're going to start out by talking about creating very strong passwords. I don't necessarily always practice what I preach when it comes to that. Not having the same password for everything you have is probably a good idea. You should probably have a variety of passwords. Obviously, if they can get into one thing, they'd be able to get into several other things if we aren't protecting ourselves with stronger passwords. So let's go ahead and take a look at this.
Often, there is really only one thing standing between your sensitive information and criminals: your password. If they get it, they can get into bank accounts and private files and wreak havoc. For this reason, it's important to know what makes a password strong and secure. Chances are, you use passwords every day to open your computer, log on to your favorite websites, to get work done. The easy route is to have a simple password that works everywhere. Unfortunately, this can be a problem. Criminals are very good at guessing passwords. Some have computer programs that can make millions of guesses until something works. And if they already know information about you, it's even easier. Your job is to create a password that is very hard to guess. Here's how. Your first thought may be to use a pet's name, a birth date, an address, or parts of a phone number. These things are too easy for criminals to discover, so don't use them. Your password should not include information about you. Thankfully, there are ways to have memorable but hard to guess passwords. Consider this. In addition to single words, phrases can also be easy to remember. Maybe it's a favorite song lyric or quote. An example is, Jack and Jill went up the hill. That's easy to remember, right? Well, your password is there. It's the first letter of each word. In this example, this would be your password. That's not something that's easily guessed. Here's why. First, it's not in the dictionary. This makes guessing it harder. There are about 60,000 words in English. A computer can test out those words pretty quickly, so don't use them. But there's more. This password could still be stronger by adding uppercase letters, numbers, or special characters. So now this is a very strong password, but there's still a risk. If you write it down, be careful where you keep it. Be aware that someone can look over your shoulder or find it in your trash. Giving it to loved ones is also risky. They may not be as cautious as you are. Only you should know your password. Criminals may also try to fool you into handing it over via phone calls. Never tell anyone your password over the phone. And be careful when you get an email that asks for a password. It could be a scam. To help avoid problems, don't use the same password everywhere. That's like having one key that unlocks everything you own. The stakes are high if you lose it. Also, be careful if you use a computer that is not yours. Let's say you check email using a computer in a store, library, or computer lab. You log in, check email, and walk away. The next person to use that computer now has access to your email account and all the information in it. Always remember to log out of each site you visit on a computer that isn't yours. Passwords are an essential part of life online, and if we're not careful about keeping them secret, they can cause big problems. By understanding the risks and making passwords stronger, we can feel a little more secure.
We definitely can. So making sure you're having some strong passwords. Here's some tips for creating some strong passwords. You never want to use your personal information, such as your name, your birth date, your username, your email. This type of information is often publicly available, which makes it easier for someone to guess your password. Use longer passwords, although we're always wanting to make it as short as possible because we can remember them easier. Your password really should be at least 6 characters long, just for the extra security. The longer that you make it, the better the security is going to be for you. Don't use the same password for each account. We just talked about that. If someone discovers that for one account, then now they have access to all of your accounts. Make sure to try to include numbers, symbols, uppercase, lowercase letters, something that's not going to be easily determined. Avoid using words that could be found in the dictionary. So they're using the example of swimming one would be a weak password, especially if on your social media feed you're all about swimming and you're a swimmer, then obviously they're going to start looking into your hobbies, your traits, things like that. So don't use common words. If you're a swimmer, maybe start breaking that down into what you enjoy about swimming. Perhaps maybe it's diving. So you could even have a phrase for yourself. I like to dive and swim. Take each of the first letters of each of those words, put in some numbers, maybe your birth year, maybe the year that it is, some symbols, and you're good to go, or just a couple of numbers. It doesn't have to be that long. All right, let's move on to another topic that has to do with internet safety, which is your browser security features. Not all of us practice everything that involves security features, and this may not be something you're comfortable with 100% doing. However, having the common knowledge about it is definitely going to help you along. So I'm going to play that one now.
Goodwill Community Foundation, creating opportunities for a better life.
While you're using the internet, you may be picking up spyware, downloading malware, or using fraudulent sites without even knowing it. But don't worry, your browser does a number of things to help make sure you avoid running into malicious websites. And there are also some precautions you can take to stay safe. Something as simple as double-checking domain names can save you from accidentally visiting a site with unsafe content. Malicious sites often use deceptive web addresses to trick users into believing they are on a legitimate site. Many web browsers will highlight the domain when you're typing in a site's web address. In this case, it's just a darker font than the rest of the web address. Being able to clearly read the domain name makes it easier to double-check and make sure it's correct. This will help make sure you're going to the real, trusted site and not a phony site with a similar web address. And if you are about to access a site that contains malware or other malicious content, many web browsers will show you a warning. Some websites will display this padlock image or a similar image. When you see this, you know that that site has added additional layers of protection by making sure your connection to the site is secure, so third parties can't see your personal information. This is most commonly seen on certain types of sites, like banking sites. You won't see this on all websites, and that's okay. Not all sites need the extra security. Finally, another easy way to make sure your browser is providing as much protection for you as possible is by making sure you have the most recent version of your browser. Your browser will usually notify you when it has a new version or if there's an update available. But if you think you've missed or ignored updates, you can manually check for updates. In Chrome, click the menu button. Then select About Google Chrome. By practicing just a few simple safety measures, you can browse the internet more safely.
Okay. So make sure you're checking those web addresses. If you have an antivirus that's on your computer, a lot of times they're going to have something built in that's going to check those sites for you just to make sure that they're legitimate sites and that you're on the correct one, because there are several sites out there that have very similar styles of web address. So this would be, having an antivirus is going to help you with that. Looking for that security symbol, which would come up during your antivirus checks as well. And updating your browser regularly. If you're using Google Chrome, I'd imagine Microsoft Edge, which is on your Windows 10 and 11, has its own way of doing that. We're going to be talking about operating systems in November for our November session, which is this. I have it down for this Friday, but that is not going to work. So I'm going to have to look into that. So I may be working this Friday, but nonetheless, you just need to make sure that you've got some browser security features going on and to help yourself out. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic, which is about avoiding spam and phishing. A lot of that could be dangerous content from scammers, cyber criminals. So we definitely want to keep our identity clean so we don't have, identity theft. Nobody wants that. So let's listen a little bit about spam and phishing.
Goodwill Community Foundation, creating opportunities for a better life.
The internet has become an essential tool for communicating, which is partly why it has also become a popular target among scammers and cyber criminals. In order to safeguard yourself from email scams, harmful software, or identity theft, it's essential that you understand the ways you might be at risk. In this video, we'll go over the basics of identifying and avoiding potentially harmful content on the internet. The first line of defense begins with your email inbox. You've probably heard the term spam before in reference to junk email. Spammers can send an email to thousands of people at the same time, and they can do so anonymously, making anti-spam laws hard to enforce. So it's important to be cautious when it comes to opening emails. Fortunately, though, many email services now provide customizable features to help you protect your inbox. For example, the ability to turn off email images. Spam contains images that senders can track. When you open the email, the images load, and the spammer will be able to tell if your email works, possibly resulting in more spam. If you're using Gmail like I am, you can turn off email images by clicking the gear icon and then selecting Settings from the drop-down menu. Choose Ask before displaying external images. Then click Save. Now if I get an email with images, Gmail will ask if I want the images to be displayed. Most email services also check to see if incoming messages are spam. If it finds spam, it will store the mail in a spam folder, so you don't accidentally open it when you're checking your email. Spam blocking systems aren't perfect though, and there may be times when legitimate emails end up in your spam folder, so it's a good idea to regularly check and make sure you aren't missing important emails. To check your spam folder in Gmail, click More in the left pane. Then select Spam. And here you can see all the emails that have ended up in your spam folder. Many email services have a feature you can use to mark emails as spam. In Gmail, I can just select the email and then click this button to mark it as spam. This helps your email provider to filter out these types of messages in the future. Some spam emails are simply annoying advertisements. Others will claim to be contacting you about something important, when what they're really trying to do is steal your personal information. This is known as phishing. It's a type of scam in which an email pretends to be from a bank or another trusted source in order to trick you into handing over your personal information by asking you to complete some sort of action. They may want you to re-enter a password, verify or update sensitive information like phone numbers, addresses, or credit card numbers, and they almost always tell you to do so by following links they provide. It's a good idea to avoid clicking links in emails. Instead of clicking the link, retype the URL into your browser's address bar to ensure that you go to the correct website. For example, here's an email that looks like it's from Bank of America, saying that some personal information has been changed and asking me to verify the changes by following a few links. It looks real enough at first glance, but it's surprisingly easy for scammers to create deceiving details such as these. Remember, phishing emails won't always look like they're phishing. The whole purpose is to look like they're from your bank, credit card, or another trusted company. Think of it this way. If someone came to your house saying they worked for your bank and they needed your social security number to verify that you're the account holder, would you give it to them? Chances are you wouldn't give out that information. Look at emails the same way. Just because an email says it's from a familiar company doesn't mean it really is. Spam, scams, and phishing schemes will keep evolving just as the technology to stop them does. But if you know what to look for and what to avoid, you can keep your inbox that much safer.
Okay, so that was definitely informative, get you out there, let you know what to be looking for. This is just going over a lot of that as well. This is that email that they were talking about earlier that is a fraudulent one. Um, this has a very similar email address, but there is a slight different variation. So if you're not sure, I would call your bank or I would go to or type in the website that you know is correct. That way you're not going somewhere that you shouldn't be going. Usually in their subject line, it's always going to be something urgent, something that you need to take care of now, because, the quicker you can get them your information for them to steal your identity, the better off you are. They will create a logo that looks just like your bank, so therefore it looks more legitimate. Anytime that would happen, you definitely want to question it, and I would get in contact with your financial institution or whatever it may be. They'll give you links. Do not click on these links. These links are going to take you to places that is going to be able to get into your system, perhaps not always, but that potential is always there, and so forth. So just don't. And of course, here's more of that sense of urgency that we saw up here. So just be careful with all of that. So avoiding malware. Best way to avoid malware is to go ahead and get yourself an antivirus. That's going to check. Another way would be to do updates regularly, and you can do that. Here, I can show you. From your start menu, you can go into your settings. From your settings, I can come in here and just type in updates. If I could type this morning. And now it gives me options of different kinds of updates that I could do, and I can check for them. Looks like I have an update to do, so I'll keep that down there. But this is how you would go in and install those. Backups. Because I'm in an organization, our backup is done differently than it is during for personal use. But if you're curious about backups and you're not wanting to lose any of your files, I'll be having a session on that in December. We're going to be talking about backups and the importance and how to do them, what you should do, as well as cleaning out some of that history and caches and things like that. So be looking for that in December for and I believe as I'm sitting here, I'm changing our computer class to be called Fun Friday Computers, Fun Friday Fun Computer Class or something. They're typically one Friday a month. It varies, so you'll just want to check our calendar. Just because I've got a lot of other things that are going on. This is just talking more about those suspicious sites, how you can protect yourself while you're online. Now, 'tis the season. We're going to be shopping online, going places and shopping, but to make it easy on ourselves, we're probably going to do a lot more shopping online. So let's hear how we can make ourselves safe by shopping online.
Goodwill Community Foundation, creating opportunities for a better life.
Online shopping is a quick, convenient way to buy almost any product you could possibly imagine. While there are some risks shopping this way, if you know how to identify a secure online store and how to protect yourself, you should be able to shop with confidence. To have the best possible experience buying online, there are a few important things to remember, and it all starts with your computer at home. Making sure your computer's operating system and internet browser are up to date and installing some good malware protection software is your first line of defense against viruses, malware, or fraudulent activity. To further protect sensitive information like credit card numbers, your best bet is to shop from home. Avoid using public Wi-Fi or public PCs like library computers. If you've purchased products online before, you're probably familiar with some of the larger retailers like Amazon or eBay. These sites have become so popular in part because they've earned a good reputation for protecting their customers' personal information. With sites like these, there's less to worry about in general. However, there may be a time when you find that the hunt for a rare or specific item has taken you off the beaten path in the online marketplace. If you find yourself shopping on an unfamiliar site, make sure to look for HTTPS and the padlock symbol in the address bar. These things indicate that the site is SSL encrypted, which means it provides the security necessary to better protect your personal information. And always be sure to make note of phone numbers and physical addresses so you know how to make contact in case there's a problem with your transaction. It's also a good idea to do some research on what you're buying and who you're buying from. If you're tempted to buy something from an online store you've never shopped with before, take a minute to do a quick search to see if you can find any reviews. No matter what site you're shopping on, whenever you log in with an online retailer, you want to make sure that your passwords are strong, long, and different for every site that you shop with. This will make it harder for your account to be hacked, further protecting your privacy. Once you're ready to purchase something, there are a few things to keep in mind when it comes to safe payment options. Credit cards are generally your safest option. Or you can also use an online payment service like PayPal or Google Wallet. These services keep your credit card information stored on a secure server, allowing you to make purchases through them without revealing sensitive information to retailers. After you've made a purchase, print or save your records of the transaction. Keeping a paper trail of your purchase will be valuable in the event that you have to dispute anything later. Above all else, remember to never send cash through the mail, use a money wiring service, give out your social security number, or send credit card information over email. Legitimate retailers will never ask for this, and if one does, it's pretty much a surefire indication that you're about to be scammed. In the end, use your common sense and trust your gut. If a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is, and if anything seems suspicious, don't make the purchase.
How many times have we heard that? If it seems too good to be true, then it probably is. So yeah, just be cautious this holiday season. Make sure you're paying attention to your charges on your when you're buying things, because I have also found that sometimes you think you're paying one thing and then later on you realize, wait a minute, how did I end up paying more for that? So make sure you check on your statements and things like that too. So just be careful and safe out there during the holiday season. Make sure you're checking all that. We're not going to go over, well, let's go ahead and go over understanding your browser tracking. This might confuse you a little bit, but it's still good information to know.
Suppose you're shopping online for shoes. Then you decide to check a health site and you see an ad for shoes. You switch over to YouTube to watch a hilarious kitten video, but first you have to watch a shoe ad. Later, you open the Facebook app on your phone, and guess what? Sponsored post about a shoe sale. How do all of these sites know that you're shopping for shoes? Well, websites use various methods to track your browsing habits. Each site may only gather a little bit of information, but together, it forms a sort of digital profile that advertisers can use to learn all kinds of things about you. An advertiser can plant a small file on your computer called a tracking cookie, which they can use to identify you the next time you visit one of the sites they advertise on. They can also get a pretty good idea of which devices you use based on your social media and email accounts, or by using a technique called probabilistic matching, which makes educated guesses about which devices belong to the same person. So one way or another, all of your devices are connected to you. And that means companies can send you targeted ads no matter which device you're using. This does raise some privacy concerns since the information is collected without your knowledge, and there is a fear of how this information could possibly be used. For instance, could an insurance company deny coverage based on a person's browsing history? You can take steps to limit the amount of data collected, such as blocking tracking cookies in your browser settings, but with the current sophistication of tracking, they're pretty easy to get around. However, there are potential upsides to all this data being collected. It allows sites to recommend articles and videos based on your interests and help search engines more quickly find the results you're looking for. As the technology continues to advance, sites will find new ways to tailor their content to better meet your needs. It's hard to say exactly where this will lead, but for better or worse, digital tracking is part of the modern online reality.
Okay. So that
Goodwill Community
definitely answered
Foundation.
a lot of questions for me, quite honestly, because you can be sitting in your room and talking about how you would love to have shoes, 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 shoes. And the next thing I know, I get on my Facebook account, and now I have all these advertisements for shoes. So yeah. Video sites like YouTube and Netflix collect information on the videos you watch, which helps them suggest more videos that you might like. So when you're watching those shows on those streaming networks that we watch, they're actually keeping track of what you're watching, and therefore they can suggest other ones within that category that you may like as well. Online stores like Amazon and eBay keep records of different items you viewed and purchased, which helps them suggest other products. It's that same concept. And search engines like Google keep record of things you search for. This way they can help suggest relevant searches for you. So if you search for a coffee maker on Google, now you're probably going to see a lot of ads about coffee makers while you're on Google. Let's take a look at how the cookies work.
If you read the news every now and then, you've probably heard of cookies on the internet. But what exactly is a cookie? When cookies were invented, they basically were little documents containing helpful information about you and your preferences. For instance, imagine selecting a certain language for a website you'd visit. You tell the website, "Hey, I'd like to view your website in, say, English." The website would then save that information to a little document, a cookie, on your computer. The next time you'd visit that website, it would be able to read the cookie it saved earlier. That way, the website could remember your language and let you view the website in English without you having to select your language again. Pretty handy, huh? But cookies are not limited to remembering just your language. In fact, a cookie can contain pretty much any kind of information. It can contain the time you visited a website, or it can contain the items you added to your shopping basket. It can even contain all the links you clicked on a certain website, much like leaving a breadcrumb trail on the internet. A cookie can only contain so much text, but apart from its size, the possibilities are endless. What exactly is saved to a cookie is up to the creator of the website you are visiting. Now, contrary to the stuff a cookie can contain, there are limits to who can read your cookies. Imagine you first visit the website we talked about earlier, and you tell that website that your language is English. This is then saved to a cookie on your computer. If you'd visit a different website later, the latter wouldn't be able to read the cookie from the first website. In other words, only the same website that saves information to a cookie can access it. Since the beginning of cookies, the popularity of these clever little helpers exploded, and they gradually evolved into a more complex yet essential part of the internet. During their evolution, the amount of data cookies contain started to grow. At first, they'd contain just a few preferences, like your language and maybe your preferred layout for a website. But soon, developers realized that the more information they could store about you, the better they could suit your needs. Cookies started containing more and more data, and eventually started pushing their size limitations. Subsequently, developers came up with a clever workaround. What if they would simply store a unique ID in a cookie on your computer and save the rest of the data in their own system? That way, they could save unlimited amounts of data. The cookie would simply serve as an identifier for your computer, much like a dog tag by which the website can recognize you and look up your data in its own system. This was the first leap towards so-called third-party cookies. As mentioned, only the same website that saved data to a cookie can access it later. But one website can actually contain bits of another website. These bits and pieces of other websites, embedded in the website you're visiting, are actually able to access cookies they saved to your computer earlier. Imagine visiting a news website. Apart from news articles, many news websites contain a couple of ads. These ads are in most cases bits of other websites embedded into the news website. Now, the news website you're looking at may not have saved any cookies to your computer and thus know nothing about you. But where do the ads come from? It's not unlikely that the ads on the news website are embedded from the same website as the ads on another website you visited earlier. In fact, you may visit dozens of websites with ads which are all embedded from the same website. So what does this mean? This means that if the website the ads come from has saved a cookie to your computer earlier, it can identify you and save information about you through other websites. So while you're reading that news website, shopping for new shoes, looking up cures for a headache, or reading the latest gossip, the ads on those websites can identify you, look up your information in their own system, and dynamically show ads that you're most likely to be interested in while simultaneously saving information about what you're doing online. So is this a bad thing? Are cookies dangerous? That depends, really. It is up to the creators of a website to determine what information they do and do not store, and more importantly, what they use that information for. Cookies are just a tool. Just like a hammer or a saw, they can be used for bad things, but they are intended to be used for good things. The responsibility lies with the people putting them to use. Cookies in a nutshell. To read more on digital transparency, go to www.advertisement.com.
All right. Well, now you know a little bit more about cookies, how to avoid them, how you can get them to not be tracked. Using your incognito mode is going to help you out with that. Here at the library, we use incognito mode on all of our public computers. Here's a little bit about understanding social media privacy. Some of you could really benefit from this, I'm sure.
Welcome to the Google Online Safety Roadshow
We're here to teach you a few things you need to know so you can stay safe online.
and enjoy all of the fun things that the web has to offer.
Think before you share! The web connects us all,
And allows us to share in ways we have never before been able to,
whether through social media posts, comments.
or even videos.
We can reach friends near and far with just a click.
But what you share on the web and who you share it with can end up saying a lot about you.
And can become a part of your life story. You can't control information once it's out there in the world.
What you post or send can easily be forwarded, copied, or found by other internet users,
Including strangers.
or people you know who aren't necessarily your friends.
Other people's impressions of you can change based on what you share.
And posting inappropriate information can have negative consequences you may not have considered. That can mean impacting your place on the soccer team, summer job opportunities,
Or even one day, what college you go to.
The internet is an awesome tool for having fun and making new friends. But with great power comes great responsibility.
So use your power for good. You can just as easily lose friends as make them, based on how you manage your reputation online.
So don't forget,
To think before you share.
That's definitely the truth. I have a shirt that I wear around here quite often that says "Think before you post." You can't take it back. And although sometimes we post things during a heated interaction, or sometimes it's just out of happiness, what have you, regardless, you cannot take it back. Even if you've deleted it, it's probably already been seen by most of all your friends. So just think about thinking of before you post. Let's understand Facebook a little better.
Goodwill Community Foundation, creating opportunities for a better life.
You may have heard about the complex and sometimes controversial issue of privacy on Facebook, but have you given any thought to the level of privacy you're comfortable with? It's different for everyone. Take Judy and Brian. Judy uses Facebook primarily to keep up with friends and family. She prefers more privacy because that way she can talk about her personal life, but still keep her private life private. Brian, on the other hand, uses Facebook a lot for networking, making new connections, and socializing in a very open way. He prefers less privacy because for him, putting himself out there is what it's all about. There are 3 different places where you can control your privacy on Facebook: under privacy settings for your account, on individual posts, and on your profile. Each item has its own set of options, so you can pick and choose what you want to share. These options may seem confusing at first, but once you know what they mean, you should have no problem customizing your account. Let's take a look at the 6 most common options you'll find while adjusting your privacy. The first is Friends, which is a popular choice for a lot of content on Facebook. Basically, this option will protect the item in question so only the people you've added as friends can see or interact with it. Friends is the perfect choice for things that you want to share, just not with people you don't know. Another similar option is Lists. Lists let you organize your friends into groups, so when you share something with one of them, for example, with your close friends but not your coworkers, only the people in that list will be able to see it. This gives you the freedom to share what you want, but not necessarily with everyone you know. The next option, Friends of Friends, is slightly less secure. It extends access not only to your friends, but also to their friends. This can include people you don't know, even people you've deliberately chosen not to connect with. Therefore, you should only use this option if you feel comfortable sharing with anyone your friends may have connected with. Public is the least secure option. It allows everyone on Facebook and on the web to view your profile, activity, and other information. It also opens you up to third-party applications and advertisers. Only Me, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. It prevents everyone but you from seeing the information in question. For example, you may want to be the only person who can see photos that you've been tagged in. That way, you don't have to worry about anything embarrassing or unflattering showing up on your profile. The last option is Custom. This setting lets you decide on an individual basis who has access to your content. It's especially useful for things like your contact information, photos, and other details that you want to share with some of your friends, but not all of them. You won't necessarily find these options attached to every item on Facebook. Sometimes you'll only have one or two to choose from. Sometimes you'll find what you're looking for under Custom instead. You'll also find the options are slightly different across the web. For instance, have you ever been to a site that lets you like or share things directly to your timeline? How about a site that lets you sign in with Facebook instead of creating a new account? There's actually a word for this feature. It's called the Facebook platform, and it can impact your privacy in a couple different ways. Some sites use the platform to connect your account to their services. Others use it to customize your experience based on your personal info. To protect yourself, always read the description that's provided, including the site's privacy policy, and don't agree to anything you're not comfortable with. You can view or edit your connections to other sites by signing into your account. In short, the key to understanding privacy on Facebook is simple. You control what you share based on the choices you make. Now you know what to look for and what all the different settings mean.
Okay. Well, the pictures of Facebook there are slightly outdated, but the concept is still the same, and you would still find all of that information right inside of Facebook there, as they mentioned, typically in your menus, in your settings. So just keep that in mind. There are other ones that you could take a look at, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest. Later on down the road, I am going to be revamping and doing a new social media class as well. So I'll probably implement most of that into those. So what to do if your computer gets a virus? First off, make sure you have an antivirus. It's going to be able to perform a scan. It'll be able to quarantine those viruses and release them so that they're not being released into the computer itself. So that's why an antivirus is so vital on your computer. Installing and updating browser plugins. Plugins usually come with some type of software. So for instance, Adobe Player is no longer supported as a plugin, but you could get the newer one and then install that as a plugin on there. But there's different kinds of plugins for different items, so you just want to check into those. We're not going to get into the phone verification system. That doesn't so Wi-Fi security, we can talk about that briefly because I do want to touch a little base on internet safety for our kids. Home Wi-Fi, you should make sure it's secure. Otherwise, your activity and information could be accessible to hackers and cyber criminals. Securing a wireless network can get technical, so beginners may prefer to get help from an internet security provider. So that would be whoever your internet carrier is. So definitely make sure that you are checking with your provider to find out what they offer. If you haven't signed up for maintenance from them, that might be an option for you, especially if you don't really know what you're doing. Okay, I am going to back up. Excuse me. I think we got through most of this. Let's go ahead and take our internet safety quiz. Let's see if we can get which of the following examples are of threats you may encounter online. Well, spyware is one, viruses, and phishing. We already know that HTTPS is actually a website letting you know that it's safe. Blank are messages that try to trick you into providing sensitive information. I believe that they said that that was phishing scams. Which of the following passwords is the strongest? Well, by all account, I believe this would be, it's got our uppercase, our lowercase, our numbers, our symbols. True or false? Clicking ads and pop-ups like the one shown in this image could expose your computer to malware. Well, we know that, we know that that is true. When shopping online, which payment method is generally safest? I don't know if it will let us. I'm going to go with bank transfers, but I could be wrong. No, it's credit cards. Credit cards are safer. True or false? The things you share on social media networks like Facebook are generally more public than things you share. That is true. Think before you post. What is a browser cookie? A small piece of data that tracks your preferences on different websites. Type of food you can buy online. A type of phishing. A plugin. I believe it's a small piece of data that tracks your preferences on different websites. To see if a website is using a secure connection, what should you look for? I believe they said the HTTPS because it has that SLS certification. Oh, I was wrong. A lock icon. Okay, see my lock icon? All right. If you're driving a car, what is the safest way to use your mobile device? Ask a friend to watch the road while you use your device. Watch videos with audio muted. Only type a few words at a time. Avoid using your mobile device altogether. And I do believe there are laws against it. If you block tracking in your browser, websites will be unable to track you. False. They will still be able to track you. So, all right. Now I want to talk about internet security for the kids. I'm not going to take up a whole lot of time because a lot of it is what we've already spoken about. But some of it may be directed a little bit more towards the kids. So if you want to go over some dangers with the kids, here's some words that we've learned today. Some of them: phishing, it's a type of scam where the scammer tricks you into revealing your personal information. Piracy is illegal sharing, copywriting. Cyber stalking, this is threatening or harassing. Your malware is malicious software that's designed to damage your computer. Cyberbullying is typically done through messaging, text messaging, social media, same ages of the victims. Obscenities contains, this would be pornography, violent content, or vulgar language, and revealing too much. You want to be careful of that because of online predators and the kind of reputation that you could give yourself. What are risks for kids? There are many different kinds of threats that kids can encounter online. Here are a few places where you might find the online threats. This would be instant messaging and chats. It's possible to be contacted by a cyberbully or criminal through instant messaging or chat. If someone is harassing you, you can choose to block them. Many computers games have built-in chat, making it possible for cyberbullying to occur. So keep informed with your kids. have discussions. If you're that concerned, take it away from them. Just like instant messaging and chat, it is possible to receive unwanted messages on your mobile device. Since many people keep their mobile phones with them at all times, cyberbullying can happen anytime or anywhere. As far as your email, email is widely used, so it's a popular tool for many different types of scams. It can also be used for cyberbullies and online predators. As far as downloading software, sometimes email attachments may have that where it contains viruses or malware. For social networking sites like Facebook give you lots of opportunities to share information. As a result, many people share too much. Before you post anything, ask yourself whether it could harm your reputation or somebody else's. You should make sure to not publicly share personal information like your address and phone number. Also, social apps like Farmville may reveal your profile information to other companies. So if you are using something you've logged into through another social media type, more than likely it's sharing that information. File sharing networks, it's also called peer-to-peer or P2P. Many of the files contain viruses, so just be cautious. Let's review. So you may encounter threats from the following places: instant messaging, chat, games, texting, emails, software downloads, social networks, file sharing. And this is more information. Learn everything you can about the internet. In order to keep your kids safe, you need to know what's going on out there. Be familiar with the internet so you can understand the risks and help your kids. Set standards for what your kids can and cannot do online. It's important to make rules for kids so that they know that what's expected of them. Don't wait until something happens to start creating guidelines. Guidelines should start from the minute that they're online and what expectations are. Teach your kids to keep personal information private. It's usually a bad idea to post personal information online, such as their phone numbers, addresses, credit cards, social security numbers, and actually location would be with that. If criminals gain access to this information, they can use it to harm you or your family. Teach your kids to use social networking sites safely. Sites like Facebook allow kids and adults to share photos and videos of themselves, as well as have conversation with friends and strangers. If your kids share something with friends, it's still possible for it to get into the wrong hands. Generally, they should only post something online if they're comfortable with everyone in the world seeing it. That goes back to think before you post. Encourage your kids to come to you if they encounter a problem. If your kids get into trouble online, you'll want him or her to come to you instead of hiding it. Keep in mind that your kids could accidentally encounter a bad site even if they're doing everything right. So just communication and talking to your kids is key. Talk to your kids regularly about how to use the internet. If they're in the habit of talking to you about the internet, they'll be more willing to come to you about problems that they encounter. How can you minimize risks at home? Keep the computer in a living room or in another common area where you can see what's going on regularly. Putting a computer in a child's room where they are able to shut their door regularly and you're not keeping tabs on that is kind of like fuel on the fire. So you really kind of just need to keep track of all that. Make sure that they do have an antivirus or you do have an antivirus on your computer at home. This is going to protect that computer from any of those viruses or malware coming through. Use kid-friendly search engines. Regular search engines may return results with inappropriate content you don't want your kids to see. However, there are some search engines that are designed to only return kid-friendly results, although there is still the possibility of inappropriate results getting though. So some examples of that would be Kidtopia. Now you could also just look up or Google kid-safe search engines that I should use, and you're going to get a lot of hits for that. Use your parental controls. They're there for a reason. This is going to set time limits, website restrictions, applications that they can open. You don't want to be that parent that has regrets later. And although your children feel like you violated all their rights, let's just keep in mind that they don't really have any rights until they're an adult. So anything that they're doing in your home is should be concerning to you, especially if they're doing inappropriate things that could bring potential harm in. You could create an internet safety contract that would be between you and your children. Staying safe from online predators. This netsmarts.org. This talks a lot about keeping the kids safe through videos and teachings. So you could even look into that. When you do choose to talk to your kids about online predators, avoid using suggestive screen names or photos. These can result in unwanted attention. So when your kids, I do know when my kids were younger, internet was kind of a newer thing, and I did have a computer in a common area. However, my daughter was still able to create profiles on very, very strange sites. Thankfully, I'm kind of an on it parent, so they did not last very long. But one of the things that one of my other kids was trying to do was just taking a random picture from the internet and using it as a profile picture that made her look about 5 years older than she was. And no, no, thank you, ma'am. That came down. All of her social media came down at that time, and she was grounded for quite some time over that one. So you just don't want any kind of provocative photos or names out there. If someone is flattering you online, you should be very wary. Although many people online are genuinely nice, predators may use flattery to try to start a relationship with the teen. This doesn't mean you need to be suspicious of everyone, but you should definitely be careful and cautious about who you're talking to. Don't talk to anyone who wants to get too personal. If they want to talk about things that are sexual or personal, you should end the conversation. Once you get pulled into a conversation or a relationship, it may be more difficult to stop. So do not allow yourself to be treated inappropriately. We all have worth. Keep in mind that people are not always who they say they are. So even though they may be telling you that they're this 15-year-old teenager at the same age as you, they could actually be a 42-year-old creeper at home just kind of looking for somebody that's willing to talk to them. So predators may pretend to be children to talk to kids online. They may use this fake profile picture and add other profile details to appear more convincing. Never arrange to meet with somebody you met online. Predators may try to arrange face-to-face meetings with children or teens. Even if the person seems nice, this can be dangerous. You definitely want to research. And like we've already seen, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Do not be too optimistic that you're not keeping yourself safe. Tell a parent or a trusted adult if you encounter any kinds of issues with that. You can also visit Crimes Against Children Research Center for any kind of statistics or just getting more information and tips on talking to your kids. If you encounter a problem, obviously you would want to call your local police department for definitely if it's an immediate danger situation. Please call 911. There is a cyber tip line that you can get on from the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children. You can call their number to report crimes against children, including online enticement of children for sexual acts, obscene material sent to children, and child pornography. One of the biggest things that our kids are facing these days is cyberbullying and cyber harassment. It seems to be a lot easier because there's more instant contact. It used to be back in the day, you actually had to work a little bit to cyber secure or to harass somebody and stalk them. Like you had to get up off your couch and actually go do it. But nowadays, you don't even have to leave your house and you can cyber stalk and harass somebody. So what is an example of cyberbullying? This would be anything like writing hurtful things through instant messengers, texting, online gaming, posting derogatory messages on social media, posting or sharing embarrassing photos, and creating fake profiles. Not sure how good this quality is, but let's see.
What is cyberbullying? Cyberbullying is any cyber communication or publication posted or sent by one young person to another. It may involve instant messaging, email, bashing websites, diary or online profile sites, interactive games, handheld devices, cell phone, or any interactive device that's invented. It's intended to frighten, embarrass, harass, or otherwise target another kid. What's the profile of a typical cyberbullying victim? Anyone between the ages of 9 and 14 are typical cyberbullying victims. 90% of the middle school students we polled admitted having their feelings hurt online, and only 15% of the parents we polled even knew about cyberbullying at all.
That's kind of
There
scary.
are 4 types of cyberbullies: the vengeful angel, the power-hungry cyberbully, which includes the subset revenge of the nerds, the mean girls cyberbully, and the inadvertent cyberbully.
Alright, so what is cyberbullying?
I don't know how to word this properly. Cyberbullying is you being harassed constantly online by one or more people.
Get a mean message saying mean things towards you. People talking about, a third person.
You're on Xbox Live, your friends will say, oh, I was hacked.
Talking about what you look like, how they don't like it, and how ugly one person is.
They'll discriminate their race, religion, how they look.
Stuff like that. Little things that really sink deep into the skin.
When I was 12 years old, I was in 6th grade, and a boy at my school started bullying me in school every day, saying how stupid I was and how ugly I was. She would copy and paste my screen name and type, did you see what so-and-so was wearing? And then forward that along with my screen name to that person.
Where is this coming from? I had no idea. I had always known I was a little heavier than other people, but I never thought people would use it against me.
And then he finally got my screen name and he started talking to me online. And he was saying all these mean things to me, the same things that he would in school. But then on the computer, he didn't have that same face, so he started being even more mean. Everything that I enjoyed and everything I did outside of soccer and art was on my computer. That was the most difficult part because having wireless in my house and having wireless at school, I was surrounded by the internet all the time. She had access to me 24/7.
It took me to the point where I would go into my mom's room hysterically, crying and so upset about it. And she didn't even know what to do because this had never happened to me before.
I ended up missing school a lot because I had stomach aches. That was a lot of it psychologically. I didn't want to go to school. And it was my way of putting a barrier between school and this bullying and myself. So I went back to this kid and I started talking to him online and saying, I can't accept this from you. All that did was make him even more angry and make me a target.
My mom actually had to take control of it, and she actually called the police because I kept getting these harassing phone calls, and they actually traced it back to one of my best friend's older brothers was playing a prank on me, and they just thought it was a joke.
And all this kid really wanted was a reaction out of me. So finally my dad went on the internet and on my screen name he said, my daughter isn't any of the things that you said. You can't treat her like this. If you do, then I will notify the authorities. So this kid got scared and he stopped talking to me. The one thing they want to do is pick on me and get a reaction so it looks like it's my fault. And I knew this is the one time not to fight back. Stop what you're doing because you're going to want to write back something just as mean and something just as malicious. And that way you're going to be just as guilty as the person bullying you.
Stop, block, and tell. Make sure that if you get an offensive message, you don't do anything to make it worse. You block the person and that your children know that they can come to you and you will help them. Think before you click. Are you sending your message to the right person? Is it possible that it's going to be misinterpreted? Make sure you put a JK or a smiley next to what you're saying so the person who gets it knows that you're just kidding or joking around. Respect others. If you teach them good manners online, we call it netiquette, it's less likely they're going to get into trouble. Keep your private information private. The more information that's out there about your child, the easier it is for someone to target them. Google your child and Google yourself. See what comes up. Hopefully, nothing. Take 5. Put down the mouse and walk away from the computer. That way no one will get hurt. We ask them to choose the one thing that would help them relax and feel better about themselves, and to spend 5 minutes doing it if something upsets them in real life or online. All of us make better decisions when we've had time to think about it.
The first thing I would do, just ignore the person, and if it persists, block the person online.
What you should do is stop, block, and tell. Stop is when you stop what you're doing, do not answer back, block the person so they can't contact you, and tell an adult.
Teens my age, kids, we don't really tell our parents that much, So when it's online and somebody keeps bugging you, even threatening to hurt you, that's when you definitely should just abandon all pride of being a teenager and just tell your parents or anybody.
Don't believe what other people say, because if you succumb to it and you give in, they won. Tell someone. Tell a good friend if you can't tell your parent, or if you're embarrassed about it, just say something.
I think people need to learn that people do have feelings, especially if you're someone who's emotional. They would get very upset knowing that, maybe all my friends do this, all my friends think this about me, and it's not good. It's a hard thing to go through.
It isn't good to be mean to people, because not only is it wrong, but it hurts other people's feelings.
To be bullied in school is one thing, but to have it taken home with you and to be bullied online and bullied wherever you are, it really has time to sink in, and it really hurts.
Okay. Well, I think you get the idea. They went over all these. Don't reply to the bully. If possible, block the bully. Keep all emails and other messages about the bully, and report. All right. Using social networking safely. If your kids are out there on social network, keep your posts private. Check your privacy settings frequently. Be careful what you share. Don't add strangers to your friends list. Keep in mind that things that you post online. Let's see what this is.
Being online is a great way to share information and connect with friends. But it's important to remember that the things we post online can affect people in the real world. Before you post anything online, ask yourself a few questions. How would you feel if your family, your teachers, your coaches, or your neighbors found it? Even if you turn on privacy settings, it's impossible to completely control who sees what you post, or when. Do you want a message or photo you posted to show up years from now when you apply for college or a job? Once you post information online, you can't take it back. Even if you delete it, it can still live somewhere else. While a video or picture may be funny to you, it may be embarrassing or hurtful for someone else. Being online is part of your life, so stop and think before you click.
All right. Well, I feel like we have just covered everything there is to cover. I'm not going to go into that. Mobile device safety. That's kind of a part of all this. I just repeated myself. All this other stuff that we're talking about. So there's no reason to really break all that down. But here's some resources for you. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of the class today. I hope you gained something out of it. The internet can be a safe place for everyone, but it can be a dangerous place as well. So the more that we practice internet safety, the more safe we're going to be, and the better that we're going to feel about things. And It's not going anywhere. It's just evolving, and it's just going to keep happening. So make sure you're taking precautions to make you and your family safe. Thanks so much, you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Oh, before I go, I want to thank gcflearnfree.org for allowing me to use some of their materials. Also want to thank Google for all the searches, YouTube for letting me put it on my channel, and Microsoft for allowing me to use their software to make it all happen for us. So I'll see you in the next video.